Welcome to the Austin Business News Podcast. I'm Tina Cannon, your host and CEO of The Chamber. On today's pod, we're going to talk local business news and the headlines this week: South by Southwest major shakeup, and then the Austin budget is about ready to fall off a fiscal cliff. But turn it around because the commercial side is getting a $10 billion facelift. We'll be right back. Howdy, crew. Got the foursome back today.
Hello.
Amy, Colton, Fiona.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi there.
Welcome back. It's so nice to be back on this side over here.
Oh God. Yeah, that was fun to watch.
Yeah, I bet it was. I bet it was fun to watch.
For our listener, I'm sure you remember, but last week I was out and Colton was having to run the board of mini buttons, and you did fine, Lord. You did fine.
Listener, all mics were hot the whole episode. It's too much to deal with.
So much that we, I'm pleased we didn't have the video edit.
Love it.
One day.
The video was oftentimes me with a drop jaw, like scrambling, trying to figure out what's happening.
Remembering the color-coded situation on the board. Yes.
Oh my gosh, good times, good times, good times. We've got a lot to get to today, including a special interview that will be later on in the show, so stay tuned for that. But let's take a look at some local headlines because there's some stuff happening. South by Southwest has lost their frickin' mind. Hugh Forrest, the man who basically was South by Southwest, is out. After nearly 4 decades, the architect of Austin's cultural Super Bowl confirmed he didn't leave, he was shown the door. Forrest wasn't just a staffer. He was the connective tissue between all the tech bros, film nerds, musicians, marketers, all chasing relevance. His exit has come as a part of a broader South by Southwest reorg, which also can be known as layoffs, signaling some turbulence inside of Austin's biggest economic engines. So let's be clear, this isn't just a leadership shakeup, it's the end of an era. Forrest really helped transform South by Southwest from a scrappy music festival to a $377 million beast that put Austin on a global stage. Under his watch, South by became the Coachella of ideas, equal parts innovation, disruption, and overpriced tacos. Now, with a 4-year convention center overhaul looming, South by Southwest is downsizing, collapsing into a single week, starting in 2026. Translation: fewer days, fewer stages, fewer chances to pitch your blockchain wellness startup. Message is clear: adapt or die. And for Forrest, he just got adapted out. The takeaway: no one is safe, not even our legends.
Oh.
I hate this so much.
I adored Hugh.
Hugh is the best.
You can still adore him.
I do. I
Yeah,
saw him
it's not like
yesterday.
he's died.
Yeah, I saw him yesterday. He's going to go on to rock whatever he does next.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yay.
Just, unfortunately, not for us.
It just seems like this is the worst year to do that also.
I know, I feel like
with all
so
of the
much
changes
change.
coming next year, like without his leadership, I'm interested to see what it looks like.
If we'll even notice it. I mean, yeah, you're right. It's going to already look so different. And to take away the one guy who literally knows all the nooks and crannies of Austin, I just don't know.
Well, he is like the most well-connected person.
Yeah.
Wild.
At any moment, Hugh can pick up the phone and call Richard Branson and then the taco delivery truck that should be parked out front.
Right.
And then Michelle Obama.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And like so well-connected in the city. Like, and we have someone from LA coming in.
Yeah. Yeah. LA.
Which doesn't, yeah, whatever. I'm sure this is all calculated. It's very sad, but you've got to recognize your adhesive when you've got it. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes, I don't know, in big corporations, we see this happen. Like when Home Depot pushed out the founders.
Right.
Art
Arthur.
Bernie.
Bernie and Arthur.
And
One of them turned out to be a huge asshole, so I'm good with that.
yeah, but you know, and they transitioned to being on the steering committee, and they still had their shares,
Right.
and then they transitioned out completely
Good
because
point. Good point.
the company was moving in a different direction,
But still wanted to have connective tissue.
right? And to the point where like they were of retiring age, like
Yeah.
beyond retiring age, and it was time to to evolve. But this is like Hugh's still, I don't know, he's still the master of this.
He is.
And the Rolodex that the guy has.
He is so accessible.
Yes.
I mean, it is an enormous conference, and he at the opening remarks of every year, he stands on stage. He's gotten better at it because he's not the best social speaker.
Sure.
But he stands on stage and he always says, you can reach me at hugh@southbysouthwest.com.
Right.
I'm in front of thousands of people, and he literally will get back to you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he functions maybe he'll have time to sleep now, not as a bat upside down under a bridge, but now he'll have real time to sleep. But
Yeah, to be a fly on the wall and like this room with the conversation.
Yeah.
I
I don't know. TribFest, if you're listening, Hugh is available.
Jeez.
Oh, my goodness. So Austin's about ready to fall off a financial cliff. The fastest growing city where tacos and currency and tech bros roam free range, Mayor Kirk Watson, the silver-haired statesman, is staring down a $33 million budget deficit. Why? A cocktail of declining sales tax revenue and a sudden $50 million federal grant cancellation intended for flood mitigation. That's right, the feds pulled the plug, leaving Austin literally high and dry. This isn't just a local hiccup, it's a symptom of a larger issue, though. The federal government is predictably under the current leadership, causing cities like Austin to rethink their reliance on federal funds. Not Washington. We got other sound effects from Washington.
The silver-haired statesman.
The silver-haired statesman, Watson, and his ambitious projects include revamping I-35, expanding the airport, launching Project Connect, are all now in jeopardy. It's like planning a lavish dinner party and finding out your main course was canceled. But Watson and the entire city council aren't just playing defense. They are emphasizing stability and harm prevention, focusing on what they can control. Think of it as steering a ship through turbulent waters, keeping it afloat despite the storm. They're leveraging strong relationships at the state level, navigating the political landscape with the finesse of seasoned sailors. The takeaway: in a world where federal support can vanish overnight, local leadership has become paramount. Austin's situation is a masterclass in crisis management, resilience, and the importance of having a plan B and the other plan B. In the end, it's not just about weathering the storm. It's about leaning in and learning to dance in the rain.
This is a very poetic article.
I know my writing has gotten superior.
Wow.
Thank you, Geppetto.
Wow.
So why are we losing these federal funds? Have we got too many DEI hires?
I guess it's the whack-a-mole that is Austin. The hard part is that balancing act of having to lean on the state because they love us so much is also delicate. But having Kirk, who was a past state senator, is helpful. But yeah, it's trying to keep us afloat. Sales tax revenue is a big part of the general fund. Sales tax revenue is down. People are buying. I suspect sales tax revenue forecasts will continue to be down in the next year as people are not doing big ticket items, given our current financial situation. So sales tax will play a part of it. Honestly, our housing prices, the valuations this year have dipped a little bit, and houses on the market are plentiful, which means that there's no owner to tax. So there's some going concerns. The CFO has reduced our budget forecast, and that's where that deficit is coming from. He anticipates lower revenues from property tax and sales tax.
And the convention center renovation must affect that too, does it?
A bit. It's its own enterprise fund, and so it's a little bit on the outside of that. Same with Project Connect. It's outside of the city fund, but the city might still have to participate in forms of like roadway redevelopment, stops, and support in and around things that Project Connect can't do.
Is this stuff that's already been allocated? So like the projects that are in jeopardy,
Yes-ish, but
I-35, for example, where we finally got all of the counties to go, can we please do this? Like, let's just do it. Pull the trigger on it. So now that we've said yes.
And the state has said yes.
Are we going to have to try and figure out how to foot the bill for this thing?
Yeah, it's in jeopardy because the federal government's portion of that project.
They just pulled it.
Yeah. They're
Why?
like, nah, we're good.
I can't.
Because last time I checked, we're still a blue city.
This is giving like the State Farm crisis of the California fires.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're out. Sorry.
Yeah, we're out.
We're done.
Yeah. It's hard. It's unbelievable. And even with the folks who are in and around building I-35, these are like the major concrete and aggregate associations. These are the old boys who are making money off of this. And even they are having trouble getting the federal government to quit jacking with Austin. And also, right, the administration at the federal level doesn't really care about the old NAFTA pipeline, which is I-35 is part of.
Right.
Because trade is not even an option in the federal government at this point. So the I-35, the argument for the Fed used to always be from our city and state perspective. This is the pipeline of trade between us, Canada, and Mexico.
Well, and it's Abbott's baby, like the interstate system, wanting to keep fueled cars on the road without alternative transportation. So I'm a little bit like, at some point, we're going to have to agree on something.
Well, yeah, and they pulled the rail funding too. That the rail line that was going to go between Austin and Dallas, that federal funding has been pulled as well.
Yeah, no one is safe.
Yeah, so just stay in your home and
just recluse yourself. Yeah, put on a few pounds.
We were only talking about that line like a month ago. Mm-hmm. No?
Yeah.
That one.
That one's gone.
That one's been pulled too.
That one's been pulled too.
Oh my gosh. It's a good job I'm on this podcast to learn these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't turn to alternative forms of self-medication because, Narcan has also been pulled.
On this episode of Dysfunction in the United States.
Yeah.
But it's like a soap opera trying to keep up with everything economic development, everything infrastructure, everything trade. It is a full-time job, which is why your Chamber of Commerce is here for you. But there's not all doom and gloom. There is some hope ahead. Let's take a look at our next headline. The commercial real estate side of Austin is looking at doing a $10 billion facelift. So the skyline here in the city, as you know, really evolves faster than a startup's valuation. Just about a mile from the Capitol, over $10 billion in construction projects are reshaping downtown. We're talking 7.2 million square feet of active development with another 10.6 proposed. More details at Community Impact. So, for example, the Old 6th Street project, Stream Realty Partners, is revitalizing 31 properties along the historically bar-heavy 6th Street, aiming to transform the vibrant downtown neighborhood into quality restaurants and diverse experiences. There's also the Congress Avenue Urban Design Initiative. It is looking to turn parts of Congress Avenue into public plaza spaces, enhancing walkability and community engagement. Then there's the South Central Waterfront, set to add 6 sky rises on the former Austin American Statesman site, blending residential, hotel, and commercial spaces with green areas and trails and connectivity. And let's not forget 6 and Blanco, where the MML Hospitality and Riverside are developing mixed-use project that combine refurbished historic buildings and new construction, including retail galleries and space. Community Impact has some renderings of all of these if you check out the latest edition. But Austin is undergoing a transformation that is as ambitious as expansive. The city is betting big on density, walkability. We're going to need it because we can't drive. And mixed-use developments to shape the future. And I, for one, I'm ready for the glow up for more developments on all of these spaces. Check out our friends over at Community Impact.
Oh, it sounds so exciting. It sounds like a really fun place to live.
Yeah, we're going to need lots of walkable spaces if we can't drive anywhere.
Yeah.
I'll stay in Lockhart. It's fine. I can walk everywhere in Lockhart.
Yeah.
Except we definitely have, speaking to like funding and county development, we definitely have spots where the sidewalk ends. Like the sidewalk just ends. I saw this woman escaping from the nursing home in her wheelchair the other day. She was just trying to go to the grocery store. So she had like her grocery store basket in her lap. And she's just like using her feet to kind of putz along uphill, not having the strength. And I was like, dear God. I had Lockhart PD behind me. I pull off to the side, put my flashers on. My friend Mitch was with me. And I was like, Mitch, we've got it. This is...
Oh, you were in your car watching this?
I can't just drive away from this situation. And he was like, I got it. So he gets out and he wheels her up to the, the glass doors of the grocery store. And we're like, how are you going to get back with all your groceries? And she's like, I got it. God bless you both. I got it. Y'all are so sweet. Meanwhile, Lockhart PD's just like, this is not our problem. And they just keep on going. I was like, really, maybe should consider an extra 12 feet of sidewalk here. I don't know. Seems like a low lift. We could all pitch in.
Yes. I would say like Austin's done a great job on connectivity on trails, hike and bike trails, like the ability to be able, of course, we're all big enthusiasts of multimodal transportation, but you really can get around Austin pretty well. On bikes, especially the downtown, a little bit on the outside of the downtown core. The trails now, even in East Austin, are fantastic if you're on a bike. And
they're doing a lot of work on the boardwalk over on the east side. What is that dam called? By Pleasant Valley.
Yeah.
I forget what that dam's called.
They're doing that big wishbone connectivity between all 3 of those trails.
Yeah.
That'll extend out over the water, so you don't have to go all the way down and to go around. You can cross the water.
That's great.
Super cool stuff. I'm excited for Waterloo too. What is it called? I forget.
I don't know. They're on like phase
project.
2 of their expansion. The whole Walnut Creek We see that happening. I don't know. I mean, there's good things happening on the commercial side because there's private money. It's the federal dollars that are kind of giving a headache. Because, you think about, you're going to have Waller Creek is already starting to be dug up for the revitalization, which is great. But then right next to it, of course, Convention Center is going to get knocked down for the next 4 years. Then you're going to Project Connect cruising through town, which is great. We need it. We need to jump on rail. But there's so much and then I-35 with hammers and cranes might happen, just to the extent of might not be as big of a project that it was before. It's quite the big dig that's happening in Austin over the next 10 years. Yeah, so if you have a kid that's sitting on your couch and needs a job, you need to send them over to Workforce Solutions and get them trained on how to use their hands and brains to help build the infrastructure of tomorrow.
Because we'll run out of the people 100% to help them soon.
Oh, man. Gone are the days of shop class.
I know, and we always need welders. Always.
I just don't understand. We had, I don't know, your high school was probably way smaller. Yours was probably like a 2A.
It was 3A. But I graduated with 98 people.
Okay, right. Also, I have to consider the growth and the age difference between us. It's probably 2A when I was in high school. But we even had an auto shop. We had a full-on, there were always 3-4 vehicles being worked on. These kids could leave school and immediately go to work.
Yeah, your shop teacher was smoking a cigarette. It was great times.
100%. There was a kid that chopped the tip of his finger off. But you live, you learn. I think the hard knocks early on in life are so important. But
agreed. I remember getting paddled in school. So you're talking about hard knocks.
I went to Catholic school.
Oh.
And so we actually moved when I was 9 years old. My parents moved us from the school we're at to go to the Catholic school that was associated with the church. And I remember our headmistress was Mrs. Cadio. And within the first week, this guy Reagan had been naughty, so she pulled in the 2 top classes. So that imagine 60 of us, primary school kids, under the age of 11. And we had to witness Mrs. Cadio smack Reagan on the hand with a ruler. And I was absolutely terrified.
oh boy.
Oh my God, it was the scariest thing ever. So yeah, I mean, I'm even old enough to remember corporal punishment. I think she got, finally let go 2 years into my school there. But yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah, that I did the Catholic thing for the first few years of my primary education.
Yeah.
And it was, it is what it is.
On your knees and Hail Marys and...
Yeah.
Holy be to
10
the
Our Fathers and 10 Hail Marys to start every day.
Oh, that was the penance for when you've done something wrong, eat sweets when your mum said you can't. 10 Hail Marys and an Our Father.
I love how they just send you away with that. And
Every
they're
time.
like, okay, do this and you'll be fine.
And you'll be fine.
I'm going to, the next time I have a bill that's overdue, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm just going to make sure that this little overdue fee just falls off this page. I'm going to manifest it.
Lord.
10 Hail Marys.
I used to go to Catholic church with my grandmother, but it was in German.
Oh.
So I had no idea what they
wow.
were saying. It was just I was sitting down, ignoring everything, and then they're like, "Time to get on your knees," and it's like, "Okay," and then you sit back down. And it was
You
just
really
that
do
over
get
and
your
over again.
steps in the Catholic church. It's a lot of aerobic movement.
And then the headmaster that took over from Mrs. Cadio, Mr. McGibney, he would teach our lessons, and in the middle of a math class when all the students are meant to be doing their math, and Mr. McGibney wants to test out a new song for assembly. So in his Irish accent, I can't pretend to do an Irish accent. He'd be like, "Fiona, come here, bring your recorder." And so he'd
to be sure.
get his music out and get his guitar and have me play the recorder and following the music just to see if this song works. And all the kids would be looking at me going, that suck up Fiona. Gets to play a recorder.
And the handbells. You had to do the handbells.
I was a handbell star in the church.
In the white glove.
Yeah.
But what I gained from learning the recorder has gotten me so far in life.
Hot cross buns.
Oh my goodness.
God. Okay.
Educate us. Fiona, take us into fun facts with Fiona.
Facts. Okay, so the last Wednesday of April is #True Colours Day. And True Colours Day raises awareness about LGBTQ plus youth homelessness because LGBTQ youth are 120% more likely to be housing insecure or homeless. So True Colours Day is founded by Cyndi Lauper's foundation called the True Colours United Fund or Foundation. And I love that. And I actually got to meet Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, no way.
No. Yeah.
That's so cool.
In 2006, I have a photograph with me and my bestie, Brian, Brian from Shield Forest Fair. And it was 2006, and I've got like a little crop top on, and I'm sucking my stomach in a lot, and I actually look like I've got like a six pack, and it's amazing. So I'm going to treasure that photo. And Cyndi Lauper's in the middle.
Oh, I love that.
But I love all the work she's done for LGBTQ plus youth, and always cry at the True Colours song.
Yes.
Oh, she's so good.
She's the best.
It is really great, and I love her little accent. The dying accent.
Oh gosh, amazing.
Yeah, we only get to hear it on the Cosentix commercial now.
Yeah.
My black psoriasis. Cosentix has transformed my life.
Holy hell.
Oh my God.
Not making fun of plaque psoriasis, but I do love that accent. And if there were ever any more syllables to be said in a New York accent, specifically Brooklyn, right? Yeah. Oh, man. So great.
Well, listener, help remind you that the last Wednesday of every April is True Colours Fund or True Colours Day. So that's awesome. Okay, well, with that note as well, we're going to take a quick break where we get to have an amazing conversation about the film and television tax incentives coming up. So have a listen to this. So Tina and I have the absolute joy of welcoming one of my closest friends and one of the fiercest champions for film and media in Texas, Mindy Raymond. Yay! So Mindy is a powerhouse actor, producer, and advocate who's been moving mountains to make Texas a thriving hub for storytelling. She's the former executive director of the Texas Media Production Alliance and the first female president of New Republic Studios and co-founder of the Shine Company, where she's helping build a future where our stories, especially those that reflect diverse voices, can flourish. And I'll say this personally, as someone working on film and TV projects which center queer and inclusive storytelling, the bills that Mindy is going to come educate us about today could mean everything for independent creators like me and many of you listening. Mindy's been on the front lines of Texas's bold new film incentive proposal, and we're going to unpack what it means and why it matters. So Mindy, welcome. We're so happy to have you here. Thanks, listener.
Thank you.
So it's been fascinating for me personally to see you involved in this work for the last few years, because you were involved in the legislation a couple of years ago.
2015.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, and it was a bold move that the last one got passed. That was quite significant too. How much was the one that got passed last time?
$200 million. So we went from a this is for the biennium, $45 million program to a $200 million program. And quite a significant jump.
Very significant. And that $200 million over what period of time? Like how many years was that? 2 years.
Yeah, for the biennium.
Okay. So now that is up by
It'll be up, August 31st.
When you say bye to Fiona, she gets real confused.
Bye.
I mean,
yes, please.
Exactly. I'll have the poo-poo platter. So now like that one is up, and now we're back in Ledge. And there's a new exciting couple of bills that are going to be passed, or we're hoping to be passed. So can you please give us a snapshot about what this is all about and why it's such a landmark proposal for Texas?
Yeah, I mean, I think just going back a little bit of history, the incentive program for our film, for our media production industries has been around since about 2007. We got funding in 2009. So this has been a long road to get to where we are today. And a lot of people, a lot of stakeholders, literally every session, as you all know and are well aware, going to the Capitol and talking about the benefits of, our media production industries across the state. So now that we're here after $200 million, incentive funding last session, coming back this year, we just kept saying there needs to be longevity in this program, because with any film or TV project, no matter what the size is, if you can only count on funding every 2 years, there's not really a long a long-term plan with that.
Yeah.
So every time, you're kind of coming back singing for your supper every 2 years, it's really hard for people to build studios here. It's hard for projects to say, oh, we're going to commit to 2, 3, 4 seasons of a show. So all of those things, have really played a huge kind of talking point for us year after year. And finally, I think...
Just a little extra sound effects.
Oh, okay. Hey. With the move of some very strong people in this industry, Taylor Sheridan being one of them. He wants to bring a lot of projects here, but he has to have that longevity and that commitment from the state saying, yeah, we're going to keep a program funded for more than 2 years. So coming back after the $200 million incentive from last session, we're coming back with a really big program. Essentially, it's a 10-year program at $2.5 billion incentive.
With another B.
Woo, another B. LGBT.
Yay.
So it means a lot, I think, for all of us in the industry that have been here for a long time, that want to stay in Texas, that want to work. It's almost like, oh, yes, finally we can see some long-term investment in our industry that's really going to help bring so many projects here, because that's $500 million every 2 years now. So not only doubling, but a little bit more than last session.
I'm really curious to know how it's been received by the lawmakers in Texas, because there has always been this kind of stigma against LA and California and film, and we're not like that attitude in Texas. So how are these lawmakers perceiving the advantages of this bill and this incentive in Texas?
Well, I think it goes back. There was a talking point, right? Like, don't Hollywood my Texas.
Correct.
Or handouts for Hollywood was a big talking point. And finally, after how many years, since 2009, basically saying this incentive specifically only goes to people in Texas. It incentivizes Texas vendors, Texas crew, Texas talent, Texas small businesses especially. So it's like no money from a project goes outside of the state. So it really is for Texas, by Texas. It's Texas jobs. It's Texas economic impact. We do not incentivize anything that comes from out of state.
So, okay, so maybe you just answered the question I was about to ask. Like, so if I live in Nebraska and I want to come shoot some film project in Texas, if I bring my project to Texas, can I participate in this incentive program?
You can. However, the only thing that's going to be incentivized, and when I say incentivize, there's a few different ways that film, I'm going to use film generally for all the projects, but that film gets incentivized. That could be a tax credit, but luckily Texas doesn't have a state income tax, so we can't do a tax credit, and that's good news. So what we do is offer a rebate. So essentially, when you come into Texas, you apply, I'm going to simplify this a lot, you apply through the Texas Film Commission, talk about, what project you're doing, how many hotel nights, how many people are you hiring, how many days, what's your budget, all those kind of, items that need to get looked at. And then they essentially earmark a certain amount of money for you and your project. And they say, we're going to hold this money aside. You go do your project. When you come back, you have all the receipts, all the Texas hires. We're going to cross-reference that twice. Goes through 2 audit processes. And then we'll cut you a check for your rebate.
Right.
Basically, the percentage of what you spend in the state, you get a little bit back on your production.
And then you can just go home to Nebraska and be on your merry way.
Go back to Kearney, Nebraska, my hometown. Did you mean to do that?
No, but it was clever, right? So the Texas Film Commission is going to manage this process. Okay, so when I was reading about it, I was also seeing some talk about how the projects that would get funded have to portray Texas, quote, positively, and they have to uphold family values. And so it can mean a lot of things, especially as an LGBTQIA2S plus person. When you hear family values, you wonder whether you're actually kind of not included in family values.
As if we don't have family values.
Which we all know is not true.
My kids would differ from that.
Yes. Beg to differ.
So how do you think this is going to affect LGBTQA plus projects and other projects that center marginalized voices?
So I'm speaking personally, not for any entity, because it really does, the Texas Film Commission is the one who administers the funds and goes through all the audit processes and all of that. So Mindy Raymond speaking personally on this. The way that we look at it, so there has been in the statute always a line basically saying Texas portrayed in a positive light. So it's subjective based on, who the film commissioner is at the time. And there's been very few projects that have not gotten funded because of that caveat. So, I think we're kind of keeping with that same language. However, there is the added Texas values, but they are purposely, in my opinion, I think leaving it vague enough that depending on the story and what is being told, it can factor into many different Texas values. And there was Representative Flores, just this last hearing that we had for the House, she just said, let's keep in mind, how diverse Texas is.
Right.
And what those family values are. And the diversification of the state is what makes us so great. And so we don't want to get kind of pigeonholed into this, kind of Christian right-wing funding for a film incentive program, right? And keeping it broad and vague enough in the language that those who are, receiving it and looking through it and making sure that, the projects that need to get incentivized, look, we get it. It's Texas, it's taxpayer money, right? So not everything is going to get incentivized, and that's okay. But again, keeping the diversification of our state is what makes us so strong and so amazing. So in my opinion, I think it is going to still be broad in the way that the diversification of the state is, and follow that in suit. So there's no discrimination. No discrimination that, that'll happen.
Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre probably wouldn't happen under this incentive plan. Not really a good light for
like
Texas.
A classic, though, and we have film tourism from it. So one would hope, right? It really falls on the shoulders of those at the Film Commission.
At the Film Commission. Okay, so they'll be the ones making
and
the
running
decision.
it up the chain, but yes.
And then, so from a business perspective, what is the potential here for job creation and local economic growth? And this is where I think you can put some of your Shine company hat on as well, talking about this.
It's just
like, how does that all, how are we going to affect businesses and especially our membership as well? We have corporations all the way down to solopreneurs and businesses of all sizes. How is this going to affect our businesses?
I mean, I think most of us who are listening have an idea when a film project comes into town or TV show, it really does affect the community in a broad way. It's not just they're going into a studio and everything's insulated inside that studio. I mean, they are spending money at restaurants, coffee shops, dry cleaners, lumber yards, cabs and Ubers, hotels. The amount of hotels alone that get, just inundated from production, it's massive. We have a 469% ROI on our program right now, meaning for every $1 invested into the film program, about $4.69 goes back into the state or the community as economic impact.
It's beautiful.
It's huge. And then particularly what I love and what we focus on the Shine Company are the smaller communities, because that's really when they feel it, the Lockharts of the world, right? Shout out, Amy. The Smithvilles. It's those Austin, Dallas, Houston. They can get a big production coming in, but it's such a big economic, community already.
Yeah.
They don't have it quite, they don't feel it quite as much as when these huge productions like 1923 come into Stephenville and dump millions of dollars into that community immediately. And then so you have that initial impact on all of those businesses that are there and feel it. And then you have that long-term effect of film tourism that can happen later, which is so great. That's what I get excited about. Because it's like people are watching more and more content, as we know, on a global scale. And people now want to go and immerse themselves in those places where these projects take place. So
there's still a sign that says "Hope Floats" outside of.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's been 25 years.
Yes, and people still come there. There's a restaurant there called Pockets Grill.
There you go.
And they have all the paraphernalia, and people are always taking pictures. And it's like, it's the gift that keeps on giving, for sure.
So talking about gifts that keep on giving, this time, tell us the exact numbers that we're now looking at. So before it was like 200 million over 2 years. So now, if these bills pass, what numbers are we talking about?
500 million every 2 years for 10 years.
Wow. Which totals
a $2.5 billion program, which is just, for those of us who have been kind of beating this drum for a very long time, it is mind-blowing, shocking, and all of the things to hear some of these legislators that, in the past were not looking at it so highly, didn't want to give incentives. They had the idea that it was going back to Hollywood. Once they understand where the economic impact really lies is in the state and in these communities, and small businesses get affected in such an amazing way. And our education systems, we educate some of the best and the brightest, and then they ship
leave.
off.
Yeah.
it's like, why are we spending all of that amazing money and talent and they're leaving the state as fast as they can because there's no jobs?
And you're right. I've lived in Austin long enough to have seen the ebb and flow of, especially leaning into the film industry or TV. When I recall years ago when the old airport was still there and they were moving out and there was all these, massive amount of space. I think it was director and producer Robert Rodriguez at the time who was leaning in to try and do a film studio out of that space. And then the money dried up during that session, and he was like, well, I can't do anything now. And so I've watched it kind of go in and out, in and out, in and out over the years. So I'm excited to see the sustainability of this fund, so that you're right, so that filmmakers and creatives can plan ahead and know that they could shoot season 1, season 2, season 7 here in and around the state. Consistency is what makes business thrive. and so I'm excited to see that these folks have finally pulled their head from their proverbial tailpipe and done something with it. Hopefully. Hopefully.
We're still in session.
It's past the Senate hurdle, which is the biggest hurdle.
Correct.
Typically, most of the things go through the Senate pretty quickly for if you're kind of new to the legislative side. And so you'll see news flashes like, Senate passes or ban on this or this. It doesn't really matter yet because the House still has to take it up. And then even then it goes to conference committee after that to kind of work out any differences that there might be. So the hope is that it's past its roughest passage point, and that maybe it'll have a little bit smoother sailing on the House side. What can we do?
Great question. Thank you for asking. A lot of it right now, because it is sitting in the House, they're going to vote on it. So your personal representative in the House, if you could just reach out to them, let them know, hey, you support this. Whether or not you're in the industry, you think it affects all businesses, it affects communities, it affects, just, again, that exporting Texas stories out into the world. And it's good business. It's really good business. You give a little and you get back a lot. So if you can write your personal representative and let them know that you support this, there's 2 great organizations I'm going to point you to: the Texas Media Production Alliance, txmpa.org, and then Media for Texas. Those are the 2 orgs that are really, spearheading the efforts this session. Amazing. And they have good talking points on stuff to say.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Mindy, for joining us and having this awesome conversation. I would just say your last sentence could be like, what gives you hope for film and television in Texas other than this, Bill?
I think just, again, the diversification, us telling our own stories and not having to ship them out to other states to tell those stories is so vitally important. And I do want Texas to be the epicenter for media production, as we've talked about for so long. Here we are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was amazing. Members, we can't do what we do without members. So here's what I will say. Amy, who you got for new members right now?
We have one new member.
Yay!
Julie Bouchard.
Hey, Jules.
Yes, this is our new membership program for our creative talent out there in Central Texas. If you had the pleasure of hearing Julie, singer-songwriter extraordinaire at B.D. Riley's at our last happy hour, part of the Pride in Local Music series. So
She was great.
Yeah, this is...
She was so fun.
Oh, God, she was... Oh, my God. I like the playlist. I don't know if that's what it is. The set list. The songs that you could choose from to request with her was vast.
And she's so unassuming looking.
Yeah.
Like you would never look at her and go, oh, yeah, she can hit all these notes all over the place.
She's just going to like belt out some Whitney Houston. No big deal. Incredible. We're so happy to have her. If you're an artist out there of any medium, singing, painting, sculpting, whatever it is that you do, reach out to us. There might be an opportunity for you to come to the chamber and really work on building your business as a creative, as it should not be a side hustle.
Yes. Yep. I love that. Colton, walk us through the myriad of events that we've got coming up as he's flipping frantically through his script.
Join DECA in person for Austin Small Business Week on May 6th. We will be at Austin Energy Headquarters. This event is in partnership with the City of Austin Economic Development Department for Austin Small Business Week. Speakers include all of the DECA CEOs and Jessica Scanlon with Hot Dog Marketing. Small business attendees can register for free. There are also several sponsorship opportunities available member businesses get a big discount on booths. So if you would like to get your business in front of small business owners and community leaders, please go to CENTX.com and register now. It is also your last chance to register for our May 7th luncheon at the Westin Austin at the Domain. Register now. I was trying to think. I have more information, but I forgot to write it down. This all progressed like in the last hour.
So you have to show up.
We'll be joined with council member from District 7, Mike Siegel. So definitely come out if you haven't had a chance to meet Mike and visit with him and talk through things that are happening within District 7 if your business or personal property is located in that area.
That's the word I was looking for. District 7. I was like, I can't go further. May 7th, District 7 should be. And DECA is hosting an inter-city trip to Seattle in August. Individual conference registration and conference sponsorships are on sale now. And we've got special early bird pricing for individual registrants. So take advantage of that sale now.
Amazing.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be hot as all get out here in August in Central Texas. So even at a better excuse, take a vacation, a learning vacation with us up to Seattle.
And a couple other quick things for May. Sorry. Happy hour, May 15th at City Limits Nissan.
Vroom, vroom.
And then May 23rd, we have a super fun ribbon cutting with Paramount Theater.
Yes!
And you can find out more information about all of these events at austinlgbtchamber.com.
Fantastic. As always, thank you so much for joining us. If you want to learn more about becoming a member of the Chamber or Chamber events, visit us at austinlgbtchamber.com. If you want to be a guest or a sponsor, email us at info@austinlgbtchamber.com. Listen to our show every Friday wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to follow. Thanks. We'll see you next time.